Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading for the week. Oh, no, this is for the Mercury retrograde that's happening between November 9th and November 29th of 2025. You have this card. It says New Romantic Cycle Begins. You also have this card that says it's time to take action. So there you go. What's really funny is a lot of people have been getting cards of action or needing to take action during this Mercury retrograde. So, yes, it is a Mercury retrograde, but guess what? It's perfectly fine to take action on something that you've already been doing or already been thinking about doing, already have a plan for. And even at that, I take action all the time during Mercury retrogrades because it's the best time to learn. So even if something doesn't work out, at least you learned something, and that's more important anyway. So there you go, rant over. You start here with the Five of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. The Five of Cups, this first row is going to represent, by the way, the past cycle that you are dealing with at this time. And what's really funny is a lot of people seem to be focused on like regrets during this retrograde, or past regrets basically. And it's almost I feel pretty good about this because it's almost like we're getting the opportunity to fix or correct some sort of past regret or to change the cycle. You literally go down to the Wheel of Fortune. And so would I call this a second chance? No. It's not really like second chance energy, but kind of, It's like if you have regrets on anything from the past, or if you feel like you missed out on something, it might not be exactly the same situation that's returning to you, but it's almost like you're kind of getting a second chance to do something that you've wanted to do before. And this happens a lot during Mercury retrogrades. But what I will say is I don't see this with every Mercury retrograde, so this seems to be a good one for kind of like transforming a situation in your life. He is kind of transforming it because he's focused on these three cups, but if he turns around, he sees these two cups and he gets the bridge in the castle as well. So he's kind of like focusing on something he can be grateful for to get something better. So the outcome is better than what he originally wanted. He only gets three cups here, and over here he gets a bridge and a castle. Better opportunity, right? You have the Nine of Pentacles. Yeah, I think you're in a very independent time. It's all about power for Aquarius right now, like power in a good way. Using your power wisely. We have Pluto in your sign. Whenever Pluto's in your sign, it's all about using your power wisely and also learning like what the word power means to you. Learning how to make yourself more independent, more powerful, learning how to use your power to create abundance, or in the case of the Nine of Pentacles, technically, she is about creating heaven on earth. And so, whatever that means for you, what would heaven on earth look like for you, and how can you create that energy around you? The more you do that, the more it spreads out. So, I think this is going to be a theme for you for like 19 years at least. And like I say, it's like most people don't get this. I think people think of Pluto as a difficult energy, but really it's a blessing if you use it wisely. So, and again, it takes 245 years or whatever for, Pluto to make a full cycle, through all 12 signs. So, like I said, most people don't even get to experience having Pluto in their sign. So I would take advantage of this time that we're in the next, 19-ish years, and think about how you're using your power, how you can become more powerful, and, all that other stuff. You have the Queen of Pentacles, big focus on money. There is something about this retrograde as well that I feel is making people like focus on abundance and money and things like that. So the Queen of Pentacles is about being resourceful. I don't know, I've been saying this since 2016, that Neptune and Pisces will change money by the time we get to 2026. It kind of looks like I'm right, basically, even though we're not there yet. We still have a few months to go, and it's not going to be a change that happens overnight, but, I definitely think that we're going to see something with money more than what's going on right now. That's not even what I'm talking about, but, at the beginning of the year, well, something's going to happen, I'm sure of it, so I think we should all be resourceful. Should we worry about it? Hell no. There's nothing we can do, so, that's what I'll say about that, but I don't even think it has to be bad. I think that, people are just going to make different choices with money, and that's it. So but what I would say is, like, on a personal level, meaning you, I would just be, put a little bit of money to the side. Like I always say, there's nothing to be worried about or paranoid about, but I've been saying to pretty much everyone that we should, probably have a little bit of money on the side, just just because, right? And that's what I would do with that card. But I also feel pretty good about money for you. You have the Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles so far. Really good opportunities. And even going up to the Ace of Wands, there could be some creative ideas that you have, or, creative opportunities or ways to get creative with your finances that could be very helpful. With the Five of Cups, you have the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands is the Wounded Warrior. He is not giving up. He's kind of trying something again. This is a card of perseverance. So like I said at the beginning of the reading, it's almost like you're trying something again, or, getting a second chance at something. And so I would take that chance on whatever this is in your life. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. Yeah, also this month, we're going to have Uranus retrograding back into Taurus in the middle of the month, this week, basically the week of the 9th is what I mean, or whatever the week is, I don't know, the 10th, right? So I think the 9th is Sunday, but what I would say here is that, when Uranus goes back into Taurus, it's a very heart-based energy. We have to do things from our heart. We have Neptune retrograding in Pisces. Very similar in some ways. Neptune in Pisces wants us to follow our inspirations, things that make us feel inspired. So, I think that, healing your heart, practicing, listening to what your heart wants would be a very good idea. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Moon. Yeah, it's like a lot of uncertainty about the future. Yeah, yes. I mean, it just is what it is. If I could wave a magic wand and get everybody to stop doing one thing, it would definitely be worrying. Like, I think that there are too many reasons to worry right now. Like, I'm not discounting all the stuff that's going on and all the stuff that will happen. Not saying that to scare anyone. But, Pluto and Aquarius is about the collective, but it's about the individual. And I really feel, and I am confident that, we are going to be the ones that create the change, and we are going to be the ones that, quote unquote, save the world, right? And so it is a little bit scary, but at the same time, we don't know what's going to happen. Good things could happen moving forward, right? The moon is part of the fool's journey. He has no clue where he's going when he gets to the moon, and he has to face his internal fears. He has to face his emotional fears. He has to be willing to be vulnerable, right? On this journey, he has to be willing to be hurt, and that's the risk he has to take to get to these mountains. And he also has to stay focused as well. This is kind of like the spiritual time challenge of the time that we're in. And so, I would just encourage you to be brave, because you can. Because you have Pluto in your sign. You can work with your power. You can be brave, bold, assertive, and you can make whatever you're trying to happen, plain and simple. Next, we're going to look at what needs closer attention at this time. Yes, you have this card that says follow your intuition. Definitely very intuitive during this time, like a very intuitive energy, so we all should. You have this winds of change. It says your surroundings will undergo a transition. Yes. Mercury retrograde, we absolutely can change things around us. You have the Nine of Pentacles, which wants you to focus on your environment. Nine of Pentacles is a card of the energy that is around you. And again, creating heaven on earth as much as you possibly can, even if that is something very small. And if you do that, then things will improve. You have the High Priestess, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Swords. Again, High Priestess definitely wants you to embrace your intuition. I think that people forget that, this retrograde starting in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is very spiritual. It's religion, And so I do feel the universe is kind of asking us to tap into our intuition more. I just said to someone else, I don't remember who I said it to, but I said that I think this retrograde would be good to have a question, like a question you want an answer to, and then meditate on that question, or go for a walk thinking about that question. Whatever you do, whatever is meditation for you, could be even driving in the car, right? It's like I would have a question in mind that you're trying to get an answer to, because I think you'll get the answer, plain and simple. This retrograde, I've never seen so many cards that encourage focus coming up for everyone. Nine of Pentacles, she has that falcon on her wrist. It's all about focus. And so I think focusing on a question that you're trying to get to the bottom of would be very beneficial. You have the Eight of Pentacles. So again, in this row, we're looking at what needs closer attention. Eight of Pentacles would be focused, diligent work. He's working on one thing, and he is completing it. So I literally feel it would be a good time. This whole, the rest of the month would be a good month for you to pick a focus and see it through to the end. This could be a personal project. It could be your health. It could be whatever you want to work on. But the Eight of Pentacles is material success on the horizon. So it says you will get a result and you will have success if you focus. And that's exactly what I would do here. Another thing that has come up for quite a few people, not necessarily the Ten of Swords, but there's been a lot of this like shedding energy. Again, we're in the year of the snake, and the end of the year here is like maybe when we're actually kind of getting the skin off, right? And so it seems to me like the end of this year of the snake, we have a few more months. I think the Chinese New Year starts in February, right? And so, we have a few more months here where we all could be removing the dead skin. Things that no longer serve us, things that have been keeping us like stuck in a straitjacket, right? And that's what I would focus on with the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords says something in your life is dead, done, over with, and it needs to be removed. Ten of Swords is a blessing. He's making the same symbol the Hierophant is making right here, which represents a blessing in disguise. So there could be a blessing coming in by, getting rid of something. With the High Priestess, you have the Strength card. High Priestess and Strength is potential. High Priestess is unlimited potential. She does represent unlimited potential. But the Strength card is about doing a display of strength. She is sticking her hands in this lion's mouth. So she's doing something hard that is getting her attention, or she's doing something that could get her attention, like a feat of strength. And I feel a lot of you, Aquarius people, again, you're gaining power, or you should be. That's something you'd work on. So, if you're working on something in your life, like a project, an idea, writing a book, doing something hard, then, that whatever that thing is could get you a lot of attention. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Swords. Yeah, this is simplification. I said in the 2025 yearly readings that 2025 would be a year of simplification. The Ten of Swords is cutting out the fluff, all the extra stuff. Eight of Pentacles, he's focusing on what's important. That's all he does, is the thing that moves him forward. It's like, the best example I can give you is me. Like, all I do is record videos all day long, right? I have other people that handle all the other stuff, right? And so I'm only focusing on what I'm good at. And, I feel the Ten of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles is like encouraging you to really, obviously I know that not all of you can hire people and stuff like that, but, it's like, what can you do to, let me back up and just say this. You don't have to be perfect, right? You just have to get started to do what's important. And that might mean like maybe, the dishes are distracting you from doing work. It's like, well, guess what? The dishes can wait till tonight. So it's like, why not do your work right now? The important stuff, do the dishes later, right? And that's how you can start small. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Ten of Wands. Fluff, right? Ten of Wands, he's kind of going to have a success. Personally, I like the Ten of Wands. He's about to reach his home in the background, but some of these wands might not be his. They might be other people's burdens, other people's responsibilities or obligations. So the Ten of Wands is really about making sure that you're only doing what's important, like I just said. So that is definitely something that needs attention at this time here, Aquarius. Next, we're going to look at the hidden message of this Mercury retrograde. Make sure to like and leave a comment, by the way, it really helps me out. You have this Mars card and this Capricorn card that says achieve on it. So the Mars card says motion on it. And so you have to move. Your first card was the card that says it's time to take action. So, and you have the Ace of Wands here as well, which is like a fire card. So an action card. So definitely time for you to move or make a move in some way. I think that you could be making moves on things that you've already been thinking about here, Aquarius. So even though it's a Mercury retrograde, again, if you're making a move on something that you've already done, or if you're redoing something, which, the reading is kind of saying that to me, that you're redoing something, then, it's a perfect time to take action on a redo, a reinvention, reinvent something type energy. That's what I would be taking action on. You have the Ace of Wands, the King of Swords, and the Wheel of Fortune. Ace of Wands is like out with the old and with the new. This castle back here is crumbling. So it kind of represents working on something new or doing something new in your life, which I think would be a great thing for you to focus on right now is like, new growth or things that could grow. The important thing with the Ace of Wands, I think, sometimes is that we have to feed the fire. The Ace of Wands is like a spark, just a spark of hope, a spark of inspiration. But you have to keep putting wood on that fire to get it to grow. And that's what I'd be focusing on, is feeding what you want to grow in your life. Could be anything. Could be you, could be your muscles, could be your brain, could be whatever, right? And so whatever it is that you feel inspired to work on, I would just come up with some sort of food for it and give it food, right? You have the King of Swords. I kind of feel like this is you showing up in the reading. Whenever you show up as yourself, kind of puts you in a position of power and strength. It is the card of knowledge and wisdom. One thing I will say is that I would definitely take advantage of the next few months, especially with Neptune and Pisces. I say it all the time, but it's critically important. Neptune and Pisces, big impossible dream. If there was ever a time where, you could blow your own freaking mind, it would be right now. But we have to get started. So I always say, like, even if your dream is impossible, I would just do something to bring it down to earth. That even if, like I said, even if you just write it down on a piece of paper, that is enough. Even if you just go on YouTube and start learning about whatever your impossible dream is, I would start doing that, because at least you're bringing it down to earth by doing that. And if you do that now, when Neptune leaves and goes into Aries next year in January, then you will have already kind of gotten something started. So if you feel motivated next year, then you'll have a place to start. And again, you will have worked with the Neptune and Pisces energy. So, I think this is about turning knowledge into wisdom for you. Knowledge is just knowing something. Wisdom is what you learn by doing, right? By taking what you learned and actually putting it into practice, because those are two totally different things, right? And that's what I would do here. You have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is like a change in your fortunes and, something coming back around. I feel more that energy for you, Aquarius, where like an opportunity or something you want to work on is coming back around, or you're getting another chance to do something that you wanted to do. And I would definitely take advantage of this energy here, Aquarius. I think it's going to be very good for you, especially if you're like redoing something or trying something again this month, for the rest of the month, basically. I think it'll be very good. We're in a lucky time. Like I said, we have this water trine that's happening this month, which is very lucky. So I would take advantage of that. With the Ace of Wands, you have the King of Pentacles twice in your reading now. So the King of Pentacles is wealth building. My problem with the King of Pentacles is like he plays it a little bit too safe. And so I would encourage you to take risks with the King of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands. He has to like take the risk of trying something new. He has to, take the risk of saying the things that he's afraid to say or whatever. And, I would definitely take those risks. It kind of reminds me of relationships. It's like, sometimes I think people, they meet a person and they keep things hidden. Like, oh, I have 17 cats at home. And it's like, well, eventually the person's going to find out that you're a crazy cat lady. So it's like, you might as well tell them up front. And you might as well, be good at cutting things out that aren't going to be right in the first place. And I'm not saying this is love, but what I am saying is I just get this energy off that King of Pentacles there, that it would be better for you to do things up front, like in work and business, pretty much everywhere. With the King of Swords, you have the Five of Swords. Yes, taking a risk. Five of Swords can be separation, all those other things. But, I think in a reading like this, the Five of Swords wants you to take a risk. He's taking the risk of walking away from these two people. He's, won at all cost. That's kind of what the Five of Swords means. But, he's also kind of just taking a risk. So I think a lot of you need to take bigger risks. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Justice card. I've been getting this weird message on the Justice card of like not paying too much attention to fairness. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like maybe, if you feel like you have to put in 20 times more effort than someone else to be successful in business or whatever, it's like, I feel like this is saying there's a reason for that. And I've been getting this message recently that people like shouldn't worry too much about that. Like if you have to put in more effort, if it seems like something's a little bit more of a struggle, it's like the universe is making you stronger, actually. It's like, there's an old saying, easy come, easy go. So it's like, yeah, it might seem like people are having an easier time at things than you are here, Aquarius, but you're the one that's going to be stronger. You're the one that's going to benefit from that. And again, if this is an opportunity that's coming back around, it's like maybe you've tried 10 times and everybody else only has to try 2 times, right? But I think there's a good reason for it. So I don't know if that helps, but there you go. Next, we're going to look at how to move forward at this time. You have this seduction card. It says passion, pleasure, temptation, beauty, attraction, chemistry, flirting, play, sexual intrigue, and mating dance. You have this marriage card. It says business partnership, joining forces, romance to the next level, connection, coming together. So could be about love for some of you. Again, these readings aren't meant to be love readings or anything like that. They're just about the retrograde. But, sure, the retrograde could absolutely have you thinking about love again. It's like you're doing something again, like I said, with the Wheel of Fortune. So, it definitely could be something that's on your mind. It's an amazing time to form partnerships with Pluto in your sign as well, Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius is the collective. So it doesn't even have to be love. It could just be a group of people that you're joining or a group that you're starting or something else. And, it's a great time to do that. You have the 4 Cups, the 4 of Wands, and the King of Pentacles. 4 Cups, again, is about having been disappointed like 3 times before, but getting another opportunity to have something again. So, like I said, it's like you've learned from these 3 cups. You just have to apply what you learned for over the 10 times that you tried something. You just have to apply those lessons to this new thing, and you'll be successful. So that's what I would focus on with the 4 Cups. You have the 4 Wands. 4 Wands can be marriage, but I really feel the end of the year here, the end of 2025, it wants us to commit to something, and I feel that you are just making a commitment to probably the 9 of Pentacles. It's showing up in the same row, right here. And so this would be about committing to creating heaven on earth, no matter what is going on around you. I always say, we are in a time where we are the ones that are going to make the change. It's not going to be the government. It's not going to be aliens like landing and saving us or anything like that. To use a cliche, we have to be the change we want to see in the world. And we have to do it, right? And so whatever you want to change it and see what happens. Again, it's going to be like a virus, but a good virus, one that spreads, especially because you're an Aquarius and Pluto's an Aquarius, right? And I think it's time for people to take their power back in that way. And that's what I would do. And that's what I would commit to with this card. You have the King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is wealth building. I think everybody's really kind of focused on money, and this will continue for years to come. So, anything you do to work on, making your finances stronger or working on money blocks or anything like that would be a good thing for you to focus on. With the 4 Cups, you have the 8 of Swords. Yeah, it's like a little bit of stuck energy. I think that, again, if you're approaching something again, the 8 of Swords says that you might only be focused on one way of doing things when there are many. So the 8 of Swords wants us to focus on all the potential solutions or all the potential ways we could solve something, like a problem, a challenge, a difficulty, whatever. And if you do that, you'll be much more successful. And I would just stay open and flexible. And with the 4 of Wands, you have the 3 of Swords. Yeah, some of you might be healing past heartbreaks. Like, again, that could be something that is repeating or that you're thinking about, is that you've been heartbroken before, and it's like you want love, so you have to, like, overcome the fear of heartbreak. Or, the 3 of Swords is really about removing those swords from your own heart. It's about forgiveness. That's the easiest way to solve the 3 of Swords, is we have to forgive the past and move on. And, that's what I would do with that card. With the King of Pentacles, you have the 4 of Wands. There you go. So if you want love, definitely could be a very solid connection. I do like the King of Pentacles for love. He wants something permanent. He wants to really like put the work in and, make something work. So definitely could be love. You have this key card. It says successful outcome to your problems. So love it. If you're having any difficulties or problems, you could be discovering the key. You have this May card and this elephant. It says a long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. Yes, we talked about wisdom. We also talked about doing something that could take a long time, right? Or working on a project that's going to require sustained effort over a period of time. And so, if you're thinking about doing something like that, I definitely would. You have this vase. It says secret admirer on it. Yeah, we do see a little bit of love here. Again, these readings aren't meant to be love readings or anything, but obviously there still could be love. You have this torch. It says spiritual development, enlightenment, awareness, and understanding. Yes, very spiritual Mercury retrograde in some ways, and also other things that are going on as well. So, I would be working on your spirituality. You have this dog barking. It says advice from a friend. It's anything having to do with relationships for you here, Aquarius, would be good. So, like I said, anything that benefits the collective, but you're part of the collective. So, even though it's, Pluto is in your first house, again, that's you. That's how you present yourself to the world, the first house. So, finding people who can help you and guide you and all that other stuff is going to be good as well. But this looks very good here. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.